Hi, I'm Tori Nook. I'm the principal and founder of Anchor Retail in Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been doing a video series, a monthly series that we drop every Wednesday on LinkedIn. And I've been profiling people I know in the industry and people who I admire and who we also have a lot in common. Some people I don't, but I really admire their businesses and what they're doing. And one of these people this week is my friend Maria Macali. And Maria and I met last May. She reached out to me and she owns a company called Fleurish Strategy and Marketing out of Cleveland, Ohio, coincidentally. And she is focused on marketing companies. So as a consultant.
hmm
And I love her background. I love her story. I don't know anyone who does what she does. And that's why I really want to get the word out because she's been instrumental personally to me and also to other people I know that I've referred her to in the marketing world. So, welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Tori. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah. So, I thought what we get going talking about is getting into your background because
hmm
two things I like to want to talk about on here is obviously how you got started
hmm
and what you do so people understand because I think people hear the word marketing and they don't understand all the facets that go into marketing for
Yeah.
commercial real estate because Maria
Yep.
only focuses on commercial real estate. And
hmm
also, we'll get into the fact that you're also a young mom
hmm
of two little babies. And
Yes.
I'd love to talk about your work life balance because I know you started your company a couple years ago, and we'll get into that too. But let's get started on how you got started in the business.
Perfect. I'm like, where do I even begin? So,
I know.
really quickly. So, 15 years and counting within commercial real estate. I started my career at a company called DDR, now called Site Centers in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I'm based, very close to you, Tori.
Yeah.
And I managed all of their property level marketing and their corporate marketing as well. From there, I moved on to a company called ShopCore Properties, which is Blackstone's capital arm from a retail perspective. I moved to Chicago and was part of building their marketing team from the ground up. And that's really where I think my career I learned the most. And I had such a large career jump. They really let me do and experience and test anything from a marketing perspective, from a property level, as well as a corporate perspective across the entire platform. And again, based on retail. But then while I was there, I also got to work on their multifamily platform. And then now out on my own, I actually work on the industrial side of Blackstone's platform as well as their medical side. So they're a company called Biomed too. So
Oh,
15 years in the industry and started Flourish Strategy and Marketing 2 years ago, and it's just me right now. And what I do is I work with companies within commercial real estate who don't have a marketing team, or they might have a marketing team and they need some help from a project management perspective. But a lot of the companies that I'm seeing, I'm really helping them identify what are their marketing needs, how much do we need to be spending on those needs, and then how are those attributed to their business goals. So everything from, I'm working with a client right now, and it's four gentlemen who have been in the industry for a long time. They're starting their own private equity company. So we did everything
mm,
from their logo to their messaging to setting up their website. Another company that I'm working with right now is they are doing a adaptive reuse. So out in Vegas, they have a office building that they're turning into Class A lifestyle retail, and I'm working with them on how to launch this brand. So everything from new logo, new colors, brand story, but then how are we going to do groundbreaking, and then what does that look like once we open to the public in about a year? And then finally, what I like to do a lot with my companies is working with companies that may just not know how much money they should be spending from a marketing perspective. I go through all of their budgets. I go through if they have a team and really understand how much are they spending, what do their results look like, and then we really start to find value from there and help them identify, do they need to be spending more? Do they need to be spending less? And if they are spending more, what is the best way to be able to spend those marketing dollars too?
yeah, it's interesting. So that's good because I think a lot of people, when they get started in marketing, they usually have like one person. And sometimes I think that people aren't even interviewing people right
Right.
to even know what their skill set is, because not every marketing is such a broad range. I mean, there's from
Yeah.
social media to designing websites to doing, big OM packages, flyers. You got to have like graphic design, and not every person has that. And I think the thing is with the companies you're helping, is what I want to emphasize is the fact, like, with the size of the company, like, even if it's a very high net worth company or it could be just a startup, you don't need all four of those people that are specialized in what I just,
Correct.
discussed. And what's
And
nice is that
you're
yeah.
You're absolutely right, Tori. And that's really where I feel like I
Hmm.
bring the most value to these clients is
Right.
one of the companies I'm
Hmm.
thinking about is they don't necessarily need somebody at the VP level full time. And so that's where I bring my expertise is being able to look at it from an executive perspective. Usually they'll keep me on for 3 to 6 months. I'll help them lay out their strategy, audit their budgets, and then I can then hand it over to them if they wanted to outsource it with like a smaller marketing agency, or if they want to hire somebody in house, I also will help them identify, hey, maybe you really just need a coordinator or a manager to then
Hmm.
execute on the strategy that I've built for you. And it becomes really cost effective that way.
Right. And then you also do the interviews, right? And figure out
Mhm.
who to outsource what to, correct?
Correct. Exactly.
For them,
So I can
unless they
build.
already know someone.
Exactly. So I can build a custom team for
Mhm.
them. And so if they're looking for a brand strategy, I won't do the brand strategy work, but I'll oversee that for them. But then based on their goals and their budget, I can then connect them to my contacts, run the RFP for them, and then help them through that
Mhm.
entire process of this is what your timeline is going to look like. This is what to expect from a cost perspective. Because a lot of what I'm seeing too is people will come to me and they just have no idea how much marketing can cost. And candidly, it's just like anything else. It's well, it can
Yeah.
cost
Right.
$0 or it could cost $1 million. And it's really just finding out
Right.
from the clients, where do you want your budget to fit? And then what do you want to fit within that budget? So I do a lot of that
Mhm.
with the clients to really help them understand this is where you should be spending, so that they're not overspending from a marketing perspective. And then candidly, then they see the results from what they have spent.
Mhm. Now, how long do you think it usually takes them to see like the results after you get everything set up? Like a
So
year, less than
usually,
that?
no, it's a great question. So if we're doing
Mhm.
everything from start to finish, so setting up their brand strategy, logo, everything from that usually takes a good 6 months. Now, of course, anything can be
Okay.
accelerated, but if you're doing it in the right amount of time, I would say 3 to 6 months, depending on how large your brand is. Then when you start to run campaigns, it's another
Mhm.
I would say 3 to 6 months before you really start to see some results. And you can start even getting the data. So it takes 3 to 6 months to get the data, and then you can start seeing the results after that, depending on if you have short term goals or more long term goals. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's as simple as one of my clients, we sent out gifts for a conference that they were doing, and they just wanted to have meetings, and so those results were
Mhm.
a lot quicker than maybe doing a digital campaign that takes a little bit longer from a eyes perspective.
Gotcha. And then
Hmm.
when people hire you, and I know every company is different, every size is different who you work with, but how long do they sign on? Like, are you at a minimum like 3 months? Are you saying, hey, I need 6 months or I need a year? Or does it depend on like the size of the
It just
client?
depends. It's a great question. It really just depends. I've worked with clients for 1 month. I've worked with clients for a couple of years. I would say on average, companies will usually hire me for 3 to 6 months. And
Hmm.
that between that time, that gets me to be able to build their custom team, oversee their custom team. And usually after 6 months, they're ready into the execution phase. And then that's something that either I can recommend a vendor to do all of the executing, or we then look into
Okay.
hiring somebody full time for them.
Hmm. Gotcha. And, one of the things too that I like that you do is you do go to a lot of the shows, right?
Mhm.
So you're not just like hiding behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people, you're going to the open air conference or ICSC, you're going to other ICSCs, you're going to other like Siri events like in the community. So you're really staying on top of like who's who. You're also
Yeah.
staying on top of who are the people you're outsourcing to. Like, you're
Mhm.
constantly meeting, new people and
Yeah.
vendors, as well. Um, so, and I think what's neat too is like you really start at one of the biggest companies out there with probably the DDR at the time with one of the biggest marketing departments. So you really
Mm-hmm.
saw from like big top how
Yep.
to scale down to, and all the layers of who's where and
Correct.
why,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
I think integral, to know versus starting off just small, because how do you
Right.
know how to handle what's big, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, I was curious too, being a woman, like why did you decide to, because I know you loved working at ShopCore and that was a huge pivot in your career and really launched you. I know you lived in Chicago. What made you come back to Cleveland and want to start on your own, being a young mom?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing at the time was me and my husband were doing long distance. So it was one of those I need to
Oh,
figure out, hey, do I come home to
mhm.
Cleveland? Do I work from Chicago? I did remote which to Chicago, and I flew there every Tuesday through Thursday every other week for probably 6 months
Oh,
to a
wow.
year. Which was great. But I think what really made me come to my own company is candidly wanting to see the different asset classes. And that was one of the
Mm,
things that I got a really good taste when I got to work on the multifamily side. But I liked that variability of being able to work for industrial and see the retail side and the
mhm.
multifamily. And then now I'm getting into the medical piece too. So I think that was definitely one of the reasons. Of course, Tori, as you know, once you have young kids, the travel is a lot easier when you're home. So it started to
Right,
become more unsustainable for me to be going back and forth to Chicago as often as I was with my young kids.
right. How hard was it for you to launch your company? Because I think a lot of people don't want to, they think about it, they toy with it. It's not for everyone. I recommend that everyone goes and
Right.
starts their own company, but you definitely need to be prepared, for what you're getting into, because it's a whole different level of work, time, and risk. So,
100%. No, and it's a great question. Funny enough is when I left ShopCore, candidly, I didn't know what I was going to do next. I knew that I'd spent
mm,
6 years at this company. It was the best 6 years of my entire career. What could possibly be better than this? It was something that was hard to trump, to be able to build a marketing team from the ground up, to be
right.
able to work at that level of,
Hmm.
um, with that level of team was so incredible to me. How do I trump this? So I took a
Right.
step back. I actually took 3 months off, which is what one of my mentors had recommended. Take 3 months off, which at the time sounded crazy. Like I couldn't possibly take 3 months off. What I will tell you is you take the first 6 weeks off and you're like, what do I do? What do I do with my time? Then you hit month
Hmm.
2 and you're like, I don't want to go back. I'm not ready. But it took that much time for me to unwind and really understand,
Hmm.
what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? And too many people had said, you need to consult. So it was actually everybody else telling me that they
Hmm.
thought I should consult versus me wanting to start my own business. And at that point, I
Mm,
thought, well, like, why don't I try this? And a lot of people had also recommended, if you're going to start something when your kids are young, because they're at the age where, although, yes, you're in the house, you're not having
right.
to deal with like pickups and drop ups, I think, which I don't know yet, but I assume it starts to get even
Yeah.
busier as they get
Mhm.
older and they
Yeah.
know where you are and they want you to be there. So
Right.
so for me it just kind of happened, and I thought I really like the strategy piece. I really like working within the commercial real estate. To your point, I had an incredible network of people, and so I jumped in 2 years ago, and
Hmm.
where I'm at now, look, I what I will say is it is incredibly hard. I knew that going into it. I didn't realize how hard it would be in certain aspects. I think nobody told me how lonely it is owning your own company. I
Hmm.
think that's why a lot of people have partners in it. And I think that was probably the most surprising. I went from running a team in a 150-person company and having a team of
Yeah.
12 to like me, myself, and I. My poor husband listens to me talk about my clients every single day. So it's almost like our third
Right.
child. So, but
Right.
honestly, I jumped right in, and here we are 2 years later, and the second year was way easier than the first year, and hopefully it will
Yeah.
continue to get, fingers crossed that Tori does it get
Yeah.
easier every year.
It is. I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you get in a way bigger, better flow. You learn more. You learn from previous mistakes not to make them
Yeah.
again. I think the only part that's harder is definitely the kid aspect because
Hmm.
it is easier when they're babies because they're not doing anything and you do have more time. I know that sounds shocking to people, but
Right.
you do
Hmm.
because you're not, again, um, picking kids up. You're not taking
Right.
them to sporting events. You're not blowing a whole weekend doing all that all of that stuff, right?
Right.
You just
Hmm.
really just have to focus on going to work and coming home, or even if you work at home, say your nanny's there for eight
Right.
hours or they're in
Exactly.
daycare,
Right.
it's just like you don't have to do anything after you pick them up other than detoxify at home with
Right.
them, right? Versus running around in 20,000 different directions. So I definitely think absolutely way better to start your company either when you don't have kids or when they're really little, like under
Yeah.
5 for sure.
Yeah. And thank
Because
God the person that recommended that, because I didn't believe it at the
mhm,
time. And now as my kids get older and older, I'm like,
yeah.
oh, like they want you at the drop off and pickup. They don't want somebody else to come get them. So
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
probably the best advice that I got when I started.
Yeah. Yeah, and you want the flexibility too because I think we all know that we all work around the clock. Everything
Hmm.
gets done,
Right.
for your clients, the money's being made. You don't have to be in this perfect well, I guess I call it like the corporate control of,
Hmm.
9 to 5, where you're sitting there even if you don't have anything to do,
Right.
1 hour or something
Hmm.
like that, right? You
I
still get
am
it
that
all
mom
done.
at swim lessons. I'm at the swim
Hmm.
lessons and I do the drop off at 9 and I stay and my laptop is open at 9:05 and I'm like doing my work and then making sure that she's doing okay in her swim lessons. But to your point, to have the flexibility to do that is exactly what I went
It's
out to do
huge.
for this. Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
my laptop's everywhere with me. I mean, if I'm getting my hair done, if I'm like, at
Hmm.
a kid event, at home, like, I mean, it's like with me at all times. If I'm at a horse show, like, I mean, the only place
Yeah.
I'm not using is like an outdoor soccer game, but
I
otherwise
know
it's
my
like
my husband
that's
laughs. He calls it my oxygen tank. He's like, "Are you bringing it?" And I'm like, to your point, it goes everywhere.
I know. I'd like to have a small purse, but I can only like do that like when we go out at night. I always have to have like the big bag that fits a laptop.
Correct. That's exactly how I am, Tori.
But at least we have them because, if we were in
Correct.
the early 2000s, we would have to still go home and, remote in, which would
It's so
be
true.
awful.
That's so
And
true.
actually,
I
there was a
can't
time where you
imagine life
couldn't
back then.
remote in, actually, when I first started working, which was awful, kind of crazy to think about.
It's
So you got to be
crazy.
super efficient with your time.
Mm.
What do you think? Um, what are the biggest challenges for your industry is?
That's
Are
a
there any?
really good question.
Or is it
Challenges.
more or
I
less like keeping up with the times? Because things are changing and they're changing so
quickly.
fast,
Yes. I was going to say, I think it's really being able to keep up with the industry and everything that's going on with AI. It's the talk
Yeah.
of just marketing and everything, and it's trying to understand how is this helping companies. And I do think that it is going to help companies more than not, but making sure that your marketing team has the education piece of that, of how it's going to help you. I think the biggest
Mhm.
challenge too that I see a lot from a marketing perspective, again, is that education piece. To your point, Tori, a lot of people
Mhm.
think that marketing is social media. Like I'll get on the phone with somebody and like, "Oh, do you do social media?" Well, of course I can, and I have partners that do social media, but there's so many different aspects of marketing, and I think that's one of the
Mhm.
big things the industry in general has is educating everybody on why marketing's important, what the investment looks like too, and
Yeah.
then understanding that from a marketing perspective, just like anything else in finance, whether you're accounting or in
Mhm.
taxes, or I always relate it to building a house. You wouldn't have your
Yeah.
plumber work on your roof, which means you wouldn't have your social media person building your website. And educating kind of
Right.
the
Yeah.
industry of commercial real estate, even, that there
Mhm.
is so much of an expertise when it comes to marketing to be able to get that impact that
Mhm.
you're really looking for. It's not a one size fits
Yeah.
all, which I think that's what I hear a lot is, well, you can just do everything. And well, I have resources, but I really like to focus on these pieces of the marketing part.
But I think that's where you come in too for smaller companies because, you know, like you said, there is, and that's something I didn't even realize is like there's not one size fits all. And I remember talking to Kim Arnauld about this, the Globe Street. And, she was like, I try to always find that one size fits all. And it's just much easier to even just hire part time who specializes
Hmm.
in what they're specializing in
Right.
or outsourcing it because you're just not going to get it in marketing. Like you got
Right.
to say, what's the most amount of work that, like, I know, for instance, like for my company, like the most amount of work we need is we have to have that graphic design, the
Yeah.
flyers, the
Hmm.
OM, at least the basics of how to put things on websites. But after that, like you need to just outsource someone to do your website, deal with all the, pay the monthly fee to have them handle the
Right.
back end stuff. I mean, some people don't do that and they wonder why their websites are just a total,
Hmm.
disaster because like your marketing person, if you have a full office running like full steam ahead, like
Right.
to remember and know how to do all these things, it's just like not, it's a whole other expertise, like not in their wheelhouse. And I agree too with like social marketing. I mean, I think it would take a special person to be in graphic design, pumping out OMs and flyers and doing that, for, and then doing social media at the same time
And then writing the
is
content,
hard.
correct, in the sales
And then
pieces
writing the
and the
content.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
two very different
I mean, if
skill
you
sets.
find
And
it,
I
great.
think,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I totally get it. And I think
I
that's
think you
the
need, and
biggest
I think the thing,
misconception.
it is the biggest misconception. I think too, even with social media, people don't even realize like some things are coming in, some things are fading out. And there's so many people out there that are doing, that are consultants in it that you can outsource, just like web design companies
Hmm.
too.
100%.
Um, how do you balance? Do you have any balance? Like, how do you balance your life and stay clear? Because we all know when you own your own company, you can work 24 hours, but you have to put a limit on yourself.
Yes.
So, what do you do to keep your life under decent control? We know nothing's perfect, but
My biggest thing is my support. What I will say is I have an incredible support system
Mhm.
and I have to lean on them. I think even months ago, I started, okay, I can do everything. I can do the laundry, I can cook the meals, I can take her to school. And there's certain things that I have had to let go of and
Mhm.
asked for help. My candidly, my husband this week, I was like, what are we eating for dinner? He has the entire week planned out. He went grocery shopping. And to me, like that's a huge lift because there's so much work that happens in the grocery shopping and what are we eating to dinner. So I think he's starting to
Yeah.
understand this is my busy season, so having people in your life that are helping, we've got full-time help and my daughter's in school too. So for anybody who's
Mhm.
watching this, please don't think that I do all of it because I do not. But I do try and ask for help. And that was something that I had to learn the hard way. But asking for help for the people who can help in things that I don't need to be doing.
Right. I think that's the biggest issue I see, like I've seen with myself over the years and with other women, is thinking that they can do it all. And they also do it because they know how. Like I realize,
Hmm.
like even for myself, like the the times when I've relinquished control is when it's stuff I literally don't know how to do. And I'm like, well, gotta hire,
Yep.
the
Correct.
CFO
Hmm.
here because in the
Correct.
accountant, because that's not my expertise, right? Or social media, right, or whatever, and making OMs with marketing. But then I was doing like stupid stuff that you could give a PA, which I finally, wound up getting one a couple years ago because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I
Yes.
need my time to be getting more deals done and be running the company, at a better pace, and then also creating more. You need to have like that white space time too to be able to think and be creative with your work and with your own personal life, like with what you're doing, and have clarity, with even
100%.
getting organized with a system, a calendar system of what you're doing 7 days a week.
I totally agree. I just hired a part-time assistant and it's been
Hmm.
life-changing. You know what I mean? But you have to
Oh,
that's the hard thing
full
about
life
starting
changing
your own business is you've got to spend the money to be able to make the
to
money,
make
and
the money.
you have to get, there's usually like a breaking point of like, okay, I
Yep.
cannot be doing, to your point, a lot of the admin stuff.
Right.
And then now
Right.
who do I trust? So I
Hmm.
found somebody who works part-time for me. So it's on an hourly basis and it works great, but like the to your point, the
Yeah.
relief of like just being able to send an email, these are my expenses, this is my calendar, these can you I
Hmm.
the poor thing, I was snapping things over the weekend. I was like, can you just type these up? Because it was like Pinterest quotes for something that I needed for a project.
Right.
And I was like, can you just
Hmm.
type this up? As little as that. So I do think
But it
that
saves you so much headaches.
it's so much, so much. So I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to trust and support the people around you. And believe me, I had to learn the hard way, until I realized that. But now I'm starting to be able to let go of a lot of things, because to your point, you can't do it all. And I used to think that I had to do it all and people expected me to do
I
it all.
know.
And then I thought,
Right.
well, wait, just because I have an in-house nanny and my kids aren't in daycare, I was like most working moms, their kids are in daycare, and most stay-at-home moms,
Mhm.
their kids are at home. And I'm like, well, I'm staying home and I'm working, so why am I doing
Right.
both? So I started to even let go of some things, about like pick up and drop off. I don't do every single
Right.
day, but I do some days. So that was like a
Yeah.
big thing that I started to let go of too.
Yeah. That's a
You
good
just can't
point
do it.
too.
The schedule
You
won't allow you
can't.
to do it all. You can't
You
you
got to
can't take
decide, am I
meetings and
going
do
to
pick up
drop
and
them
drop
off
off.
or am I going to pick them up? Like, and for
Correct.
me, I've always just done drop off, and my
Yep.
husband and I divvy it up, and because pickups it's just not, can't happen with the
No,
conference
no.
calls and everything. And that's unfortunately been the whole their whole lives that
Yeah.
way. But I don't think they seem to care. I mean, they're in high school
No, and
now,
that's what I think, that's what somebody explained to
middle
me, is
school.
like as long as you're okay with it, they're okay with it. And I just tell myself, I'm like, it's
They don't
her
know
being
any different.
independent. You know what I mean? She's got to get
Hmm.
used to different people picking her up and dropping her off. But then pickup
Yeah,
turns into, mom does the nap time and mom eats lunch with me. So it turned into like a 3 hour, where I was like, I don't have 3 hours during the day. You know
can't
what I
do it.
mean? So
Mhm. No,
so it works out.
but
Doing the
at
drop
least
off
you
is
know what you
perfect.
can do. And I think
Exactly.
another thing women don't think about is a thing is also is that you do need help at home when you're working as well. Like you definitely need to have, whether it's 1 to 5 days a week, like a housekeeper,
Yes.
because you don't have time
Yes.
to do laundry and you don't have time to clean your house. I mean, you could keep it straightened up, but it's just, you got to weigh like, what are you making an hour versus what you're going to, again, pay for in home help
And that
too.
it's okay. Because I think there's so much of a
And it's
stigma
okay.
of like, is it okay
Hmm.
that I don't do my laundry every single day? Like, yeah, it's
Right.
fine, because I don't want to be doing laundry when I can be playing with my kids. You know what I mean? Is it okay? So I think
Exactly.
that was my biggest thing too, is I think
Hmm.
depending on like just society, that you have to be doing the laundry. And it's like, it really doesn't matter who's folding the underwear.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Honestly, someone could come prep your food or you're buying it from them
Mm-hmm.
and you're throwing it in
Right.
the oven or you're getting DoorDash or carry out during the week because you just have to a couple days a week. It's impossible to cook every day. Like you
Right.
can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No.
it's and you just got to relinquish control. And I just think that a lot of families, like where you come from or you even grow up, like because X was expected, well, it's like it's a new day and time. Like it'd be one thing if you were stay at home, and not running a business and worrying about money and people that are on your payroll and your clients
Right.
and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, it's a whole added layer that what for whatever reason, it's okay that men don't have to, you know, care or think about these things, but if women are going to be on the same playing field, it's equal playing field, right?
Yeah.
And you got to
No, I
have equal
totally
help.
agree. I totally agree. So
Mhm.
for me, that's what I've learned is it's okay to ask for the help, and it's okay if other people are helping you around the house. So that was a
I
big
think
learning
what's
lesson
nice
for
too
me.
is I think what's good too is most men I feel are way more self-sufficient too, like versus like when I was growing up, right? I don't know any guy that doesn't help their wife or change
Yep.
diapers or realize like, okay, let's figure this out. It's like me, you, and whoever like the house help is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of people in this party to keep our lives going.
100%. I totally agree. I think I was telling you the other day, about the school forms. I told my husband, I said, I don't have time to fill out these school forms. Can you fill these out? And I forwarded, and he did it.
It's
So
horrible.
it's 100% 50-50 here, or else neither one of us would survive. And
You
Tori, it
couldn't
goes in
survive.
flex. When
Yeah.
I'm busy, I take on more. And when
Hmm.
he's busy, he takes on, I'll
Yes.
take on
Hmm.
more. But it is.
Yep.
It's being able to have that support, and thank God
Hmm.
for the husbands that we have, because I could have never started my business or run my business without having a
Oh,
supportive
me
husband.
neither. Like me neither. I mean, mine gets all the Christmas gifts because I'm too stressed because it's so busy and a year in real estate. It's
Mm-hmm.
nuts. Do you what would you recommend for anyone like new coming into the business and into the world of marketing? Because I was curious, like, how do you get your clients? Like when you started on your own?
When I started on my own, I did it was all through my network. The very first client that I signed
Hmm.
was somebody that wasn't like a somebody I talked to in the last couple of days or even years. Somebody that I
Hmm.
worked with back at DDR 15 years ago, and I had
Is
had
this
a
just like
really
when
good
you had
reputation.
those?
I put a LinkedIn post out, and they
Okay.
messaged me via LinkedIn, and they were like, "We'd love to
Hmm.
talk with you." And
Okay.
that was, let's call it, the
I
first
love
client I
LinkedIn.
signed that wasn't within the family of the job I had just previously left. So I think
Gotcha.
for me it really was my network. So that's what I would say for anybody entering marketing moving forward is in those early years you have to just grind. And I feel like that's really what helped me is I was in college. I
Hmm.
did 4 internships in college. None of them were paid, but I learned
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to do right when I left college. And then I worked my butt off when I was at DDR and I loved it there. And it was because of that that I then moved on to ShopCore. I was brought over to ShopCore because of somebody I had worked with at DDR. So it's really creating that
Hmm.
network of people, but
Yeah.
then keeping that network of people. And even
Hmm.
as I work through my business, even I thought, I was like, oh, well, people know who I am and I've been in the industry. Like, why isn't my phone ringing?
Hmm.
And even
Right.
as many people as I knew, it still took a really good 6 months for people to know, oh, this is what you're doing. This is what you're specializing
Hmm.
in now, because you have to be out there in the world telling everybody. And then now,
Right.
candidly, a lot of my clients come through. Each one of the clients that I have now have come through my network of people.
Yeah, through referrals. Yeah, because that's like
Correct.
the ultimate goal when you own a business, or even if you're established independent contractor in sales, like you
Hmm.
want to get to the level of like you're just getting referrals. Like that's
Exactly.
kind of like when you know
Exactly.
you've made it. But you do have to grind. And I don't care if it's marketing, being a broker, I don't care
Right.
if you're selling insurance or whatever you're doing. Like there is a grind. And I think people, and it's not like I know people like to make fun of Gen Z and the younger generation, but I know people who are way older who think like they wonder why they've stayed plateaued in their life and they
Right.
don't understand they can't get to X. It's because they think people just owe them something. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have someone throw you a bone, period, just
Right.
pat yourself on the back because that's not the norm. They want to see how hard are you going to work. And that's, I think, a good lesson, an example of what you said. You just grinded. And because you worked hard, I mean, I know who hired you at ShopCore. You got, people who are way higher status that are like, well, they watch you, even if you're not really talking to them. Like they could see who's the worker,
Yeah.
who isn't, who they could trust, who's good at what they do, who's going to be there and be, dependable. And that's
Right.
how you keep getting your leg up. And because I think some of the best referrals I've received are actually not through people I know personally that are friends, but people who are actually on the outskirts and you
Yeah.
just don't
Hmm.
realize like who's watching
Hmm.
you, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's so
Um,
true. So just making sure that you have that reputation
yeah.
throughout, because I've also
Hmm.
seen a lot of people how quickly it can burn too. Like I just
Oh
one
yeah.
incident or one
Hmm.
indiscreet, like it's just how fast it can all go away very quickly too.
Very much so. Well, this has been awesome. Is there any words of wisdom you want to leave about success, being a woman in business, marketing?
Gosh. You don't have to do everything. I guess that's
Okay.
I'll
I
say 2 things. Everything matters, from the staple that you put in the on the sheet of paper to
agree.
the 4-page report that you're sending. Everything matters. And then the second thing would be you don't have to do everything. So just really
Delegate.
focusing in, at least for the early moms, or even if you're not an early mom, but like trying to plan in the future. That's just the
Mhm.
life that I'm living in right now, is
Yeah.
you don't have to do everything. Like surround yourself with people you can trust, and they will help you become successful. Even other women. I mean, it's been incredible knowing you, Tori, and women want to
Hmm. Oh,
lift
thank
women
you.
up. And I found a
Mhm.
really great community that has really helped me throughout my career. I couldn't do it
Oh, that's really
without
good
any of them.
advice. No, I agree. I think I've been held up by women and men that are amazing in my life that I don't they've you know, advice I'm not even paying for, but has totally changed my life, like what they've done for me and just seeing their perspectives. And that's why it's so important. I love what you said. Like, you have to have your who's to take
Hmm.
you to the next level,
Yeah.
to be successful and happy at the end of the day. I mean,
Right.
we're not leaving our kids to, be miserable and to
Correct.
not make money, right? I mean, you have an
Correct.
end goal of where do I want to be, in my life with all those components and still have healthy relationships with your husband and friends and
Right.
everyone
Hmm.
else,
It's
right?
so true. It's so true. I mean, I wouldn't have
Awesome.
started my business without there's three main people in my life that continue to say,
Mhm.
do this, do this, do that. I wouldn't be here without them because I never thought that I wanted to start my own business, and here we are. So I
Yeah,
listen to the people around you because
that's how
it
I was
surprised
too.
me. Hmm.
I ignored people, and I think it's funny how when you get it from multiple different people and even different people that don't even know each other, they're telling you the same thing.
Yes.
Like, you've got to listen because, like, I ignored it for way too long.
Yep.
But once I
Hmm.
finally was forced to listen, everything was smooth, smooth sailing.
Yeah. No, I
Well,
totally get
tell
it.
everyone where they can find you. If you want to leave your number, website, social media links for
Perfect.
Flourish.
Yeah, so I do have a website. It's flourishstrategy.com. And then I'm also on LinkedIn too. So whatever is easier, if you want to fill out the contact form on my website or if you want to find me on LinkedIn, you can find me either there. I'd love to meet any new clients coming this way. And I just so appreciate you having me on this, Tori.
Well, thanks, Maria, and I'll be probably talking to you really soon.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Have an awesome week. All right, take care.
Have a
Bye.
good day. Bye.
You too.